All right. I want to welcome everybody back to the Tracey Teaches Course Creation and More podcast. And this is a very special podcast episode because it is my first guest interview on the content or the Course Creation and More podcast. And I had to make my first episode be someone who was very near and dear to me. So I actually procrastinated for a good reason, putting out interview podcasts because I wanted this one to be the first one. So my guest today is Corrissa Weaver. She is I'll let you tell you everything that she does, but she is my biz bestie. She's my ride or die in the business world and helps me with everything from life stuff to business stuff and just fun stuff. And so without further ado, I will give you Corrissa. So Corrissa, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
All right. So I am a life coach for women, specifically dealing with empowerment issues. So women who are feeling less than or struggling with self-worth and self-love. And I also work with crystals. So I help women who have an affinity for crystals and tarot. And we use those tools as we build and grow their empowerment.
Awesome. And I have been the benefactor of many of those things, from knowing what my crystals are, what these pretty rocks I have everywhere actually are and what they're good for, all the way through to Corrissa has helped me learn how to pull a card and get some clarity when I'm at a difficult spot in my day or week. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure, here shortly. Corrissa, can you tell us what's your thing? And refer to that as your superpower or whatever, but what's the thing that you do better than anyone else that people come to you for?
There
Why
are so
you?
many things. So many things. Well, first off, I've been where they are. So whether they identify as being an empath or they're an HSP, so a highly sensitive person, they tend to take on the weight of the world, and they bend and they contort and they turn themselves into pretzels because they just can't let other people down. Mm-hmm. And so what I had to learn on my own path was that my responsibility was not the happiness of others. And now that I've done the work and I've learned all of those things, I recognize how painful it was. And I want to help all the women who are experiencing that discomfort of being responsible for everybody else and their happiness so that they can go out and strive for their own happiness. And by default, they end up learning that the happiness they create for themselves creates happiness for others. Mm-hmm. And so that's why women come to me. It's because they want to be happy. They want to feel good in their skin.
Well, and I know that the reason that you and I have become biz besties is partially because we are each other's ideal client. Mm-hmm. I am definitely the person that you are best for, as you are, I think, for me. But I think there's a lot of value to also having been your own ideal client, right?
Yes.
To say, like, the reason you can trust me on this journey is because I took it before you did. And I know how to get you to that endpoint because I took myself there.
Correct. I've walked that 5,000 miles.
Right. So how do you do that for your clients? What are the things, and you don't have to get into specifics, but like, what are the things that you offer? Like, how do you get that transformation then for your ideal person?
Well, the biggest thing is getting clarity on the thinking and having awareness of why what's going on is going on. And I have a simple 3-step process where we create awareness. We then do intentional mind mapping, and then we do aligned action. And in each of those phases, we are creating awareness of what's going on. We're identifying what it is we want to change, why we want to change it. And then we take those action steps that are in alignment with those intentions, and we do it over and over and over again, each time tweaking and making small changes to improve along the way. Because very often we find that what we think we want isn't what we want in the long run. And then how do you handle all those emotions that come up when all the feels and all the doubts and all the fears? How do you handle all of that when you're on this shaky leg that you don't understand if you can be that person? It's a hard job giving yourself permission to be the person you want to be when you don't believe you can be it.
Absolutely.
That's the support I give inside my coaching program. There are also the learning lessons and the videos components and tutorials that you get. And those are the hands-on things like learning how to use your crystals or learning how to read your tarot, and also some of the techniques that you can employ when you fall off track.
Mm-hmm.
But the down and dirty stuff we do each week is navigating all those fears and doubts and taking the power out of those thoughts.
Awesome. So let me ask you, why did you decide to create a course for your audience? What made you decide that it was, and I know like you have a low end course, right? And then also this group coaching program, which is sort of more in line with the way that I like to tell people to do things. Like I think that there should be a great deal of human engagement, especially depending on your subject matter, and yours certainly requires that, right? But what prompted you to say, you know what, I'm gonna create this this product? What was it that motivated you and said, courses, it's the way to go?
So the course portion of it that's the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts. If you feel like you don't know what to do with your crystals in an effort to support your energy or your intention, you won't get started. And so when my objective is to get in on those deeper levels so that we're not just dealing with the surface, if you don't have that initial knowledge of, am I building a grid, or am I doing a body layout, or am I working with the right crystal? All of those things aren't where we should be spending our time. We need to be digging into why do you feel like an imposter? Why do you feel like you don't have permission to be an adult? So it was my way of separating out nuts and bolts knowledge from how do you apply this stuff and get the most out of it.
Awesome. Lost my train of thought. And what is it about you, what you offer that is, proprietary to you? Like, why are you the person we should listen to? How do you do this differently than others? You know where I'm getting. So, and I'm especially like being the person that, we get vulnerable with each other. I wanted to ask you this question because I know that it's one of those things for all of us. It's really hard to say, right? That I am the best at this, and this is why I'm the best at this. And yet I feel like as course creators, we need to be able to really say, like, I think I made a post in my Facebook group a couple of months ago that said, if you don't believe you're the expert, no one else is going to believe it either. Right. So what makes you the expert in all of this, other than obviously you've been through this before, but what do you bring to this work that only you can bring?
So I am bridging two separate worlds, not only the world of crystals, and I've done all the certifications and I've been a one-to-one crystal healer doing in-person sessions at spas. But what I noticed when I was dealing with those one-on-one clients is that was, again, surface healing. They'd feel great, like you feel great for a day or two after seeing the chiropractor or getting a massage. It's wonderful. It's a nice release and you feel wonderful. But then your thoughts don't change if you don't recognize that it's the thought that creates the icky feeling. Mm-hmm. So what makes me the person you want to turn to is that I am marrying not only the thought work and the coaching side with the use of your crystals and your tarot. I'm helping people find out how to create their own rituals and their own practices and take it deeper. And that's what makes me the expert that they would want.
Awesome. So, I had a question right on the tip of my tongue, and then it's like, I didn't write it down, and I probably should have.
Because I blew you away with my last answer.
Right? It was very good. It was very good. I was mesmerized, and then my brain went empty. It was about courses, Oh my goodness.
Dexter said hello.
Yes, Dexter's hanging out here next to me like he always is. We already talked about the transformation that your course delivers for your program delivers for your audience. What they get from you that they can't get anywhere else. Oh, I know what I remember. Yay. What advice would you give to someone who is just in the beginning phases of creating a course or a group coaching program? Having been there and kind of worked through this from the beginning, and you and I have been on this road together for quite some time. What would you tell somebody who's just starting out, who says, I think I might want to create a course for my business?
What you think is important isn't.
Excellent advice.
Yeah. When I started with my course, I was all up in what platform do I use? What am I offering? And while what I'm offering is important, not the way I was thinking about it.
Okay.
So really it's about getting out of your own way, really understanding who you're trying to talk to, and then delivering what is in their best interest, but not getting worked up about what email platform do I use? Which platform do I host my course on? Do I do modules, or do I do long lessons or short lessons, or how do I host it? Do I own it? Do I put it on Vimeo? Do I do YouTube? All of that stuff doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if your content isn't performing and giving your client a transformation, it's not worth the time.
Excellent. If those of you who are catching this on video, I just did my happy dance. But Corrissa sings the song of my people. Yes, if what you're creating doesn't get the transformation, then it's pointless anyway. So don't worry about the logistics, is what she said, and just worry about that transformation and getting people to where you're promising them to go. Absolutely. And we say that all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, and I say it all the time. The number one thing that people ask me is, what platform should I use? Well, I have a tool, traceyteaches.biz/quiz. If you want to take it, I think it does, for those of us who are completely indecisive, it at least give you a push in the right direction. The bottom line is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you host it. Doesn't matter where you put it. I tell people all the time, the best course I've ever taken was dripped to my email.
Yep.
Easy.
And it's the same thing with the things I teach. Everybody gets wrapped up about what crystal do I use? What book is going to give me the right answer? I don't know what my tarots mean. I have to always refer back to the book, and that totally knocks them off their game and makes them feel inferior and insufficient.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that matters.
Yeah.
It's lovely to know, and it certainly does give some richness to what you can do. But when you worry about all of that, you're not getting the true value of the crystals that you're working with, or how you're working with them, when you're all wrapped up in that knowledge.
Right. Yeah. And if you're all wallowing in overwhelm in your life or business, and you're letting that keep you from move forward because of an insignificant decision, like for us, it's course platforms, or, for Corrissa, it's, well, I don't know what to do with this green rock.
Exactly. Do I put it in my pocket, or do I put it under my pillow? Mm-hmm. And when somebody asks me that, I'm always like, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to put it under your pillow? Then put it under your pillow. That seems like the right thing, if that's what you want to do with it.
Precisely. Yeah.
Well, and part of the course creation journey, I think too, for we business owners, is being able to kind of get some help and get some clarity when you need it. And you and I worked together, on an ongoing basis, but quite some time ago. And can you tell my audience what was your favorite thing or the best part about working with me? What did that give you that you feel like maybe you couldn't have gotten on your own, or would have taken you longer to get on your own?
Well, first off, your patience. It didn't matter how many times I asked you a stupid question or something that was simple and you had told me before, but because of how I was approaching it, it wasn't making sense to me. And you were there to always just say, yeah, you got it. You know what you're doing. And then the high touch portion of how you work with your clients in being able to have you review my outlines, having you review the order that I'm doing things, and always reminding me to bring it back to repetition and transformation. So those are the parts that are the most valuable.
And once you learn those things, then are you finding that you can apply them? I mean, obviously now you're creating, you did a kind of a mini course and we worked on that together. Now you're creating bigger things, group programs, mapping out all new, like exciting offers that are coming.
Yeah.
Can you take that, what you learned and apply that
everywhere.
Awesome.
So I do a monthly training in my free group, and I use the protocol of the course content mapping for my trainings to make sure that I'm not overwhelming my clients, that I'm focusing on one or two things that I repeat throughout. And it's just fantastic having a platform and a template that you can use over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter where I use it, it'll always deliver the result that I'm looking for.
Whoop, whoop. And I don't mean to sound that like for that to sound like an infomercial, like I'm not like marketing anything. I'm not trying to sell anything, but the idea, I think that once, and this directly can relate right back to what you do as well. Once you learn a framework for how to do something, that's something that you get to apply again and again and again.
Right.
I got away years ago, many years ago, it seems now, from a done for you thing. I never really enjoyed creating courses for people. I want to coach you and cheer for you and help you learn those skills, because once you learn those skills, then you can use them, again and again. And Corrissa knows, she and I have talked about, like, I've toyed with creating a certification program for VAs to be like, I'm a course certified VA, because I think that there's so much power in knowing in my crusade to make courses the right way and not just slap them together. There's so much power in like having that proven framework that then you can just, template, stencil it onto everything else that you create.
Right, exactly. And it's the same reason I stopped offering one-to-one crystal healing sessions. There's more power in being able to do what you need to do for yourself and having it done for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that feedback. Very, very flattering, very, very lovely.
I wouldn't be where I am with the confidence I have in creating my courses if you hadn't given me that support and that guidance and that framework.
I heart your face.
Yeah.
So what tips or advice, we'll move away from course creation here, but what tips or advice could you give somebody who maybe they're like Tracey and they've got some stones laying around? My crystal collection is actually going to be quite impressive. Or they're just starting to kind of play with some tarot and they're like, I want to learn more. I want to be more self-actualized. What would you tell them if they're just starting? What do they need to know? What steps should they take?
So first off, there are no rules. The rules are made by somebody, which may or may not work for you. And we see it repeated across cultures, across countries, across socioeconomic status. Only use a rule if it works for you, right? So there is no ritual you have to follow. You don't have to follow the moon cycle unless you're drawn to it. You don't have to follow the routine of the yogi that you follow, right? Like you just don't. So don't stress over doing it wrong. Follow your intuition. Don't worry about the little things and get out of your way. It's the same things that you're going to tell your clients.
Get out of your own way. Like why is that just not like everywhere on every billboard? Like that is the most beautiful piece of advice, I think, for everybody in every, obstacle that you face. Just get out of your own way.
Right. Well, it's one of the things that I cover a lot with my people is that we are conditioned to look for validation outside of ourselves. And as long as we're chasing someone else's ideal, we'll never find it, we'll never achieve it, and we'll never feel satisfied and content.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That's definitely not something that I come to you with on a weekly basis.
So once we learn that the value and the measurement comes from us, for us, by us, And it's a hard lesson to learn. That's why we people please. That's why we put ourselves second. That's why we make sure that everyone else's world is so soft and taken care of, because we're measuring ourselves by someone else's happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So learning that it comes from you, by you, for you is a really big, hard thing to learn. And that's why we always get in our way, because we're taught you're always working for that teacher's A, or the praise of your parent, or the raise or the approval of your boss at work, right? It's all around us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to break down that expectation that we hold ourselves to.
Yeah.
Life is a whole lot more simple when you can go down to bed at the end of the day and say, you know what? I made my transformation clear. I have my 3 to 5 points that back up that transformation, gives them action steps, and repeats it, makes it simple and easy to digest.
Yes.
A whole lot easier when you own the power of your steps.
And I think, like one of the core tenets of course creation is you could learn that on your own. You could fight the long road. You can read all the books, you can study all the things, and, like read all the books on the crystals or whatever that you want to do.
Right.
Or you can take the fast track and invest in having somebody help you. And, if you follow me at all, that my whole thing is everything that you could teach somebody about what is out there in the world somewhere. You learned it somewhere, so people can go find it. But what they pay you for is to curate that information and give them the easy win or the fast track to it.
Exactly.
So, those people who are, really struggling with self-esteem and self-love and all of the things, they could figure it out of themselves over the course of, however many years, trips around the sun. Or you can invest in a coach who will make that so much less painful for you. And Corrissa could be that coach for you if that's something that you feel like you need. And I feel like we're at such a crazy time right now in the world that so many of us.
It is. We're hurting. The world is changing. There's pressure from outside sources that are making the world weird for us internally. And it's the perfect epitome of the Tower,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or the death card from tarot, right? Like that one chapter is closing, a new one is coming on. It's making us question who we are. So grab your smoky quartz. You'll be fine.
I've got my smoky quartz right here.
There you go.
You need your smoky quartz and a guide. And I think that's, if you're looking for a guide, the one that I choose is on this interview right with me right now. And I know that she, may be the appropriate guide for you. So Corrissa, can you tell us where our audience can find you and anything that's coming up that you're excited about that you want to share?
So you can always find me on my website, which is 3charmgems.com, or you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram at 3charmgems. And I always have a monthly training inside my free group, which you can find the link on my Facebook page and on my website. And that is called the Charmed Community. And each month I do a free training. I also do weekly tarot and card pulls and crystal assignments. So you get the weekly forecast and what to look for and how to navigate the week on an energy level.
Awesome. I will make sure to include all of those links in the show notes for everyone. If somebody says, I'm ready to get started, I definitely know I want to move forward. Is there something they can buy or some way that they can sign up to chat with you? Can you tell us more about that?
They can visit my website at 3charmgems/coaching and read all about my coaching program. And the link to book your free consultation is plastered throughout that page.
As it should be. And any good sales page should have the link easily accessible, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. It has been a long time coming, but I could not move forward with doing interview episodes without my first one being with you. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your brilliance.
I'm honored that I'm your first.
Excellent. Well, I will be seeing more of you later, but I will post in the show notes for how my audience can find you and see more of you as well. You will not regret adding a little more Corrissa to your lives, people. And thank you for being here. Enjoy the
Honor
rest
to be here.
of your afternoon.
Why, thank you.